Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Gauntlet, where we take beloved Fire Emblem characters and put them up against every class in the game one by one until they perish. In the last episode we put Roy through the gauntlet, and this time we'll be testing the unofficial second Lord of FE6, Lilina. This was suggested by these lovely people on the last video, so please comment your suggestions below for characters you want to see run the gauntlet. As always, we have this map I made with a series of rooms, each containing enemy classes in a rough order of how challenging they are to fight, and we will see how many of the 16 classes Lilina can best before she dies. Feel free to leave your prediction for how many classes she will defeat in a comment down below as well. All the enemies in the gauntlet have iron weapons and are set to level 20 unpromoted, with a couple of levels of hard mode bonuses for extra spice, and Lilina is also at level 20 with a fire tome and some vulneraries in her inventory. As always, this challenge is just for fun, not a proper assessment of a character, so please don't take it seriously. So let's take a look at our champion. At level 20, an average Lilina has these following stats: 25 HP, 19 magic, 9 skill, 11 speed, 14 luck, 4 defense, and 14 resistance. She has very high magic, and she'll be attacking against res, which most enemies don't have much of, so she should deal a truckload of damage, but her speed probably isn't high enough to double very often, and she's super squishy, so I think she's going to burn through her healing items very quickly, unfortunately. I have now made it so that the player character has a third vulnerary in their inventory. I think it wasn't quite enough healing with 2, and a lot of people were kind of hoping for a little bit more healing. I don't want healing to be unlimited in this. It's kind of supposed to be a representation of how they're actually going to do in a game, and if a character needs to be healing up with vulneraries or staff units after every time they face combat, then they're not really as good as a unit that can kind of, take 5 enemies before they need to be healed. It's a much better situation for them. So I think it's oh crikey. I did not expect her to one round the soldier like it was nothing. Damn. Okay, Lilina kind of smacks. Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's a much better representation to give them a small amount of healing, but not too much. So we've gone for 3 this time, and that does mean that I will be amending the score that Roy got in the last episode of this. He got 11 wins. He would have had 12 wins if he had that additional vulnerary. It would have let him beat the Armor Knight, but he wouldn't have got any more wins after it, I don't think. So we're going to leave it at 12 on the table, and we will see what all the characters get with 3 vulneraries going forward. Okay, so Lilina has taken quite a lot of damage. We've had to use 2 of our vulnerary uses to get her back up to full health. And unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of an issue for her. She's going to burn through these vulneraries incredibly quickly. Thankfully, she can kill this Pegasus Knight in 2 hits, so hopefully she'll be able to get a lucky dodge here and there, and it will let her push a little bit further through this. But I mean, this is just Lilina's problem in vanilla as well. She's just incredibly squishy, and even against like FE6 generics, she struggles to dodge, never mind against level 20 generics. So an alright unit in the base game. She can be fairly good, but she's just never really able to take hits, and her dodginess it's decent, but again, her speed isn't really as high as you would want it to be. She's got good luck, but her speed just isn't really high enough to be super dodgy. Thankfully, she managed to dodge that brigand hit, because that was a lot of damage. Unfortunately, she didn't dodge the pirate. She's not going to be lucky enough to dodge every single one of these axe attacks, but hopefully she can dodge quite a few of them. I am now worried here. I think I'm going to have to waste a vulnerary a little bit, because 26, yeah, no, he does like 22 damage, so I need to unfortunately use another vulnerary use at this point before we open this door. I think that I really wish she dodged that. I mean, the crit isn't actually helpful, but it's style points, I guess. We've hit the kind of not halfway point, but the midpoint where I've added in a droppable sort of D tier item. It was Steel Sword for Roy, it's Thunder for Lilina. Unfortunately, while she has got a Thunder, she probably would have been better off with another vulnerary being dropped, because she is now completely out of healing entirely. Did I actually bother to set her constitution? Okay, her con is supposed to be 4, and I forgot about it, so technically she was getting slowed down by 1 point of speed, but I don't think it would have made a difference in any of those battles, so I'm just gonna carry on. I can correct it at this point. Hey, okay, I've given her a +1, so technically at this point she is now not slowed down by fire, and she would be slowed down by 2 points 4 Thunder. I'm a little bit scared of this Myrmidon, to be honest. Will he double? Yes, he will. Okay, that is the end of Lilina's gauntlet run. I wasn't expecting her to get that far, to be honest, but I thought she maybe had a little bit more in her. So she defeated 9 of the enemies. She got stuck on this Myrmidon who is quite scary, to be honest. 15 speed and 12 strength is actually kind of terrifying. I think Lilina was just kind of doomed from the start, to be honest. She just doesn't have enough speed to really do much doubling, and she's so squishy. 4 defense and 25 HP is just nothing. I think any time that I've actually bothered using Lilina in FE6, she has taken an angelic robe to make her even sort of halfway usable. In the vanilla game, you can kind of get lucky with her speed level ups, and you can give her an angelic robe and then she's sort of pretty good. But yeah, she's just not really good as a front lines unit. It's not really her forte. But we have a number for her, which is exactly what we were after. She defeated 9 of the 16 enemies. So not quite as good as Roy, which I think we were kind of expecting. But I want to see what your predictions are in the comments of how many you thought she would beat. Whether she did better or worse than everyone was kind of expecting. And as I said, please put your suggestions in the comments for what you want to see next in the gauntlet. We've had so many suggestions on the last video, but the majority of them were for the vanilla lords in GBA games, so lots of Ellywoods and Hectors and Ephraims and stuff like that. So I will definitely get around to doing those lords, but it is nice to have, you know, 1 or 2 other units in between each lord video. So Lilina was a great suggestion. I really enjoyed that because she is kind of an unofficial main character in FE6, so I quite enjoyed that suggestion. Thank you very much for that, and hopefully we'll get some more cool suggestions on this video, and we'll see what ends up happening in the next one. Again, if you do have suggestions on how you want the gauntlet tweaked, then you are welcome to put them in the comments. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do them. I think adding that extra vulnerary is kind of a good middle ground. I think 3 vulneraries is kind of the sweet spot. I think any more healing than that, and it's just not really going to be a very good representation, because there are units that can clear this whole gauntlet without even using up 1 vulnerary. So I think if we end up trying to pad the stats for all of these characters that are weaker and making them stronger, it's just going to end up skewing everything towards the top end of the results table. So it's much better to have a more even spread. And while that kind of sucks to see some of your favorite characters not performing very well, I do think it's better to have that sort of differentiation between them. The other thing we got a lot of on the last video was suggestions for letting lords and other such characters use their PRF weapons, and while I do understand that that is kind of a part of what makes that character, it's kind of part of their toolkits in the games, there are units that can clear this gauntlet very easily with just iron weapons, and if we are giving rapiers to units, it just makes them kind of overpowered, and I don't think it's really the way that I want to go. It's a fair suggestion. I completely understand where people are coming from with it, but I think for me, I will be sticking with it this way. This is just kind of meant to be fun, and I think if we stick, you know, Ephraim in here with a Regin Leaf, it's just going to be a cakewalk, to be honest. So I think we'll stick away from the PRFs. I did increase the vulneraries by 1, but if there's any other tweaks that you guys would like to suggest, you're welcome to. So just keep a discussion going in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.